U.S. officials in Geneva. That's where the U.S. is trying to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are leading those talks with a Ukrainian delegation. Their goal today to settle any apprehensions Ukraine might have on ceding land to Russia and to get both countries to sign on to the president's 28-point peace deal. NewsNation's Hena Brandt is live in Washington, D.C. with the very latest on these talks and what the White House is saying right now. Hannah?
Brooke, we're expecting this to be sort of a series of meetings being held throughout the day between these high-level officials. And this is a really key moment for these negotiations and this push for peace. I want to give you a look at what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky posted just a short while ago on his social media account. He seems to be going into this meeting with kind of high hopes. He isn't there physically, but Ukrainian representatives are there on his behalf. Zelensky saying that the bloodshed must be stopped and we must ensure that this war is never reignited, saying he's hoping today's talks are constructive and that the outcome here is positive. President Trump striking a similar tone that he says his priority here is really just pushing for peace. That's what the Trump administration is hoping for, though he does say he wants the Ukrainian side to respond to this peace proposal by Thanksgiving, so putting kind of a tight deadline on it. Though, on the other hand, he told reporters this is not necessarily his final offer. Take a listen to what the president said.
I would like to get the peace. It should have happened a long time ago. The Ukraine war with Russia should have never happened. If I were president, it never would have happened. We're trying to get it ended. One way or the other, we have to get it ended. Well, then he can continue. Then he can continue to fight his little heart out.
So certainly some pressure from the American side on Ukraine to accept the deal, but the current peace proposal is sparking some alarm among Ukraine and among many allies because there are some points in this plan that are contentious. It includes the Ukrainians giving up much of their territory to Russia, something they've said they do not want to do. It also would include some limitations on Ukrainian military forces going forward, which raises some concerns about the future of the country's security. Now, Volodymyr Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, did not reject this plan outright, but did say he wants to continue talks with the U.S., suggesting that he's not entirely satisfied with this proposal in its current form. On the other hand, Russian leader Vladimir Putin has praised this proposal, saying he thinks it could form the basis of a final peace settlement. Brooke?
And Hannah, as those discussions are happening in Geneva right now, there's also lots of debate here at home about the creation of this peace proposal. Some senators on both sides of the aisle questioning the origin of the plan.
Yeah, that's right. There's some pretty fierce debate right now about who exactly wrote this peace plan. And that's because you've got a group of Republican and Democratic senators who spoke this weekend at a security forum, and they say they had a call with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and they said Rubio told them the plan was not created by the U.S., and that instead, he said, it was just sort of a wish list of the Russians that the U.S. was passing on as a starting point for negotiations. Now, the Trump administration is disputing that sort of recalling of events, with Secretary of State Rubio saying on X that the peace proposal was authored by the U.S. based on input from both Russia and Ukraine. The State Department following up by calling the senator's claims blatantly false. So a pretty intense dispute here, Brooke.
Okay, Hena Brandt in D.C. this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.